So the crop health notebook is in your real folder examples when you log in the sandbox, and you can see the crop health. And I've now my example now for this particular area that I chose. So the data here we're using is Sentinel-2, 20 meters, and the notebook is able to load the various packages, and I'm able to change the area of interest. So also besides this, there are other examples of areas that you can look at, which are default based on the feedback from the various partners. And the program is very easy and loads the data as required, and you're able to click on some areas of interest. So in this case, I can choose to rerun, and so that you can start again, so that we can able to see actually how we can actually change the various phenology for different parcels of land. So the good thing about this is that it's very useful for agriculture and food security, as well as small scale farmers where they want to know the productivity over time over areas, and they can choose to change various areas. And you can see at step 4, it's loading, as you have to be a little bit patient depending on your internet connectivity, but it fairly runs fast as we wait. So the tip behind this is that the data is trying to load at least 50% cloud-free data. And for this area, you can see it's quite a good area for some farms. So this is my area of interest. So I can just zoom in and take some random parcels of land. You can choose to finish. You can also choose to delete a point if you didn't do very well. Then I can choose to add another pattern, parcel of land somewhere here. So you can see the plot of NDVI over time. This is a time period at least of 2 or 3 years. You can see the productivity. And also, you can also choose the various farms, very good for comparison. So the other part about this is that you are the person who has more information about the area of interest. So I could be looking at an area where it's just strictly irrigation, and possibly others which are just croplands, and they'll be having a different feedback. So I also took an example, some croplands in Senegal, and I was able to see the plots were a little bit different. So this could be affected because of the phenology, as well as the rainfall patterns and how the farming is done. So when you zoom in and you try to zoom out, at least you can be able to identify with the area closely. So this was at least far from Dakar towards inside. So the farming areas are more controlled by you as a stakeholder. And also you can also choose to type in some coordinates of your choice in the chat, and we can look at that. So as you think about this one, I can try to continue, so that now I introduce also the phenology part, the notebooks. So these are 2 notebooks. We are trying to 2 birds, 1 stone. We cover at least the crop health and the phenology, so that we can actually see what is the objective of having this for your work. So when you look at, when you want to measure the phenology over time, your interest is for this particular notebook, we've tried to add some value information from the cropland that was developed from our partners. So this is a similar research with what has been done earlier, and it's using the NDVI or EVI, and we're able to generate very interesting statistics of our area of interest. So this one is similar to what we've just seen, where you need to have an area of interest, and this is able to overlaid by the cropland. So this is just an example of the optical for the same area that I had, and you can see the plot of the area over time, and this is somehow showing similar to what we had for the crop health based on the dates and the phenology of the graphs. So this could be for some particular area. So it's a mean indication. And finally, you can have a pattern which is more fairly reasonable based on the rainfall patterns observed from the various months. So having very good yields in October, November, and very low in terms of around August there. So this is more tied to the area and the knowledge of the same. So going further, we're able to generate some phenology statistics, which are borrowed from researchers like Choklam, where they have looked at the start of a season and the peak and the end of a season. And also, I think we will be more interested to see could cloud cover affect this area? So this is just a plot of the same for 2 years. You can see it's reasonably different. So it means 1 year was a little bit more productive than the other, very useful for farmers. Then on the same, you can be able to get more statistics at the start of the season, the NDVI, and so on, at the point of planting and at different zones. Then also we can extend the same for the, I'll just show you the notebook. So we can do the same also for the radar, but before that, let me just go to the notebook so that we can see much more information from this. So from the notebook side, which I've put in the real world, you can go to the Phenology notebook for the example of just seen for crop health. And you can still see the proxy, you can set to NDVI. And when you go down, similar steps, but now we add in the value information from the cropland extent, and also the same, the cropland extent. It's good to know where it extends from. So it's trying to look at our data. And this is the extent for the cropland that it covers parts of the continent, but some gaps we are working with our partners to address. So for the northern, we don't have much of Mauritania, and I think we are working closely with our partners to make sure we populate it closely. For the Sahel, less is covered, so Senegal is under Sahel. So those at least 3 or 4 regions, 5 regions actually. So very useful information as we go forward, and also working with you closely to see where the gaps are. So this was more what I showed, the statistics collected. As you can see, the plot is similar to the crop health because it's for the same region. And also we can see where you arrange it to various seasons, and you get a very good plot for assessment for the point of different seasons. So this is also useful when you sit down with the farmers and try to discuss, to see what has actually been happening at the particular area. And over time, you'll get very good information. So the same was also covered for the radar notebook, which is similar, using the same logic as well, but now adding Sentinel-1, and also we are adding the value of the radar vegetation index, which is very useful. And also the same loads for the different years, overlaying the same for the cropland extent, and also getting a false RGB of the same for the cropland. And the radar vegetation index, our values are shown here, and we're able to get very interesting statistics of the same area. And finally, we can see the plot of the same here, which is slightly different. So on that, I was trying to compare with what we get from this. So from this presentation, I was trying to summarize what I'm getting for the two. So as you've seen for the radar, it's similar, and the statistics are a little bit similar, and the plot of the same is similar. But now when you compare, you can see there's some similarities, but some gaps are shown. So back again is that it's very useful. It gives you at least an idea of some areas and try to see where gaps are. So around these months, now you can even be able to work closely with the farmers who are maybe documenting what was happening. Were they harvesting, or are they removing bad weeds in the ground, etc., or maybe some parts of the farm were harvested for sale, and so on and so on. So most of this information, you have it as the end user. So you are very important in this process, leaving no one behind. And I wish to ask for anybody to volunteer an area of choice that they wish to look at for this particular example as I open it for discussion. So this was just a small summary, and I'll put this presentation in the chat so that you can be able to share with colleagues, and the discussion is now open for everybody. So welcome, Kairia, to the discussion.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Kenneth. Actually, I came late, so I'm trying to catch up what you have presented.
Karibu sana mwalimu. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we were just covering the crop health notebook, and we were just showing the examples of how the phenology works. And I've put the presentation in the chat. And also, we're also interested in more feedback in the notebooks. For example, there are people who wanted the radar notebook. Now it was developed. Maybe you want more information from the notebooks. The opportunity is here for you to ask.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me go directly to the sandbox, and then if I have any questions, let me ask.
Welcome so much, Karia. So Edward, any more information that I'm supposed to cover or you had from your side? Thank you, Edward. Joseph, any other comment?
I tried everything was covered, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Victoria, you had another example?
I was trying to find vanilla farms in Madagascar. If anyone has a specific location, it would be interesting to see the response of the vanilla crop.
Vanilla crop in Madagascar. That's a nice one. And Mr. Google.
Let me send you the link.
Okay.
It doesn't have exact locations, but it has a general idea. So maybe we can get a location from it.
Okay. So maybe an interesting observation when we are doing the crop validation for the Madagascar, it was quite interesting that when you load the data using the app, which was using Mapbox, Sentinel, it was very interesting about the farms and how dense the forest and the farms. So you have to be very careful with what you get. So any other person with any other feedback? Maybe the other question is whether we have a shapefile or some data that you can use to get some parts like what Victoria is looking for. I've heard that maybe ILRI used to have, others used to have, SIAD, etc. So we don't know some of these where we can get the links for exact coordinates. So since Victoria, you work with crowdsourcing, I think I can just try to look for a group for Madagascar and post it for them and see their interest.
That would be great, yeah.
Yeah, I think in this spirit, crowdsourcing helps because then you're able to get more information about guys on the ground. And I think that is the spirit of OSM and others, working with people with the ground information. So from the image, it's slightly somewhere in the northeast, near Sambava.
Yeah, it seems so.
Wow, which will be also something to look at. So these are put in as an assignment for us to follow up after this with the group from Madagascar. Thank you so much for this example. So anyone else with other example or they wish to share their screen? So also welcome Stella to the discussion today.
Thanks, Kenneth. Sorry I joined late. I'm just from another meeting. Hopefully to check on what has been done previously.
Thank you. Actually, you are our example where you did the crop health for some farms. Is part of your work.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's really nice. Maybe I got a question. I don't know whether it's within the framework to be answered. So when I was looking back and then I was asked whether it's possible to have hotspot areas. Now the question relates back into understanding if through the Digital Earth Africa platform, we can have maybe peculiar hotspot platforms that are suitable. For example, in coffee farming, what they meant with hotspot is there has never been a cropland of coffee around that area, but we can use the previous farms that we have located using remote sensing to make it a hotspot to look at whether it has suitable capabilities for it to be a suitable planting area for either coffee, or if it's not coffee, which other particular, like which other cash crop apart from coffee can that particular land be made suitable for agriculture. And so they were just looking at we're just being asked on how Digital Earth Africa platform can develop such hotspot areas where agriculture has never been done, but it has the capabilities of doing agriculture, and whether we can identify which cash crop is more suitable for it. Yeah, maybe anyone can help me answer if they have an idea.
I think this one I'm looking at Stephen Corey, who does a lot of machine learning. And I think he joined, then he dropped. But I'll ask him what they're doing at Pula. It's part of machine learning of discovering crops which were planted and possibly which were not planted previously, but based on remote sensing data. So this is from Landsat 5. Okay. Yeah, so it's a possibility, but then the limitation of the cloud cover as well. So this is also the value of having the farmers on the ground. Like the work you did for this particular work is that you had some team which was on the ground.
Oh, yes.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so as much as we do this, the people on the ground hold the data, ground truth.
Okay, thanks, Kenneth. I think I'll also reach out to Stephen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And also there are some institutions like ITA which have done some research on the ground. This is the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. And also I remember in agreement, they also have ICRASAT, which helps them with that. I think Paco has some information on the same.
Probably the last question, but maybe this is beyond coffee farming. There was I saw one blog by Nganga. I don't think he's here today. He did something on forest. I think it was forest fire in Mount Kenya or something. There was something related to that. And I was asked what was the validation data set that he was able to use during that analysis in the platform.
Yeah, so for this one, there is some data they collected from RCMRD on the same, based on what was observed. But also it tags down to the ground validation. So this is what was covered by the World Agroforestry Research Institute also was looking at the same forest fires, but the issue was who has the shape file of the burnt areas, which are the exact burnt areas, and which are forest and which are invasive species, or etc. So it's more of there's a gap between the research and what has been collected in the ground.
Okay, thanks, Kenneth. I think I'll be able to still put on more discussion to understand why they mentioned it. But thank you, because they wanted to duplicate the same analysis in Sierra Leone, because there's more cutting down of trees as people are now doing cash crop farming, especially rice. So they wanted to understand how the hotspot analysis can also be replicated, the same that you did, Digital Earth Africa did in Kenya, can also be done in Sierra Leone. Yeah.
Actually, there is some farming in some parts of Sierra Leone called Jipe. I don't know the exact name, but I remember there's some information I got from someone from Sierra Leone, from Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay, I'll reach out to you concerning the same. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So anyone else who has some contribution? So today looks like everyone is quiet. Yes, Baku.
Ken?
Yes, Baku, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. I think you mentioned agreement. I think we have a special interest on those kind of script, and because as you know, during this year we work on crop typing. So I think those kind of script will contribute to have a good result in what we are expecting to have in terms of contribution for the initial digital Life Africa. So I haven't tested it in one area, but according to the interest, I think for the next sessions we will have to come with one presentation showing how to apply this script in one specific area in West Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bako. You are our champion, and also trying to put in some information from one of our colleagues from Forest Commission in Ghana, who's just joined. They had a publication on the Sentinel-2 and some of the indices in some areas of phenological stages for mango. I've put the article there, and it's he's here, but of course we didn't prepare him for these questions, but you're welcome to ask him any question. But his article I've posted it in the chat. Yes, Monsu, any question? Quelle question?
Ken, I don't have really question, but I have a presentation that you give us really the overview about the crop health. So with using notebook, that is really interesting approach. Yeah. We will try to read the PowerPoint and to really follow the notebook to see really how we can be, how he will be useful for us also. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much. And everyone in this call is very important because you have the areas that you are working with, and you know more information about the ground. Any question for us, Wakinesha all day?